about that one. Michelle and his business partners operate a portfolio of restaurants and venues in downtown Toronto. Their venues have grown to earn tens of millions of dollars in revenue with more than 150 employees in less than 2 years. He has advised and spoken at conferences for companies like Alfa Romeo, Verizon Wireless, Electronic Arts, Lush, and many other globally recognized brands. Michelle was selected as a spokesperson for McDonald's Canada National Hiring Day campaign and has been included in publications such as Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc. Magazine, Time Magazine, and Yahoo Finance. So please welcome Michelle.
Good afternoon. I picked up on two things right away. The first was it's with a lot of expectation and excitement, so thank you. Second, I'm a profit-driven entrepreneur. I just go about it a different way. And now you've recognized I'm Canadian by the way that I said about, I'm sure. I am based in Toronto. I spent most of my life in Vancouver. And hospitality is the industry out of every industry that I could have dove into. That was the one that I decided which probably will end my life sooner than it should. My expertise is threefold: company culture, employee engagement, and customer experience. It's my responsibility to my partners and to our business and our community to build strategies that will make those three things help grow our business. So why did Teresa select me as your speaker when we first spoke? I'm in hospitality, an industry that could not be any more different than yours. But I believe, and perhaps you could say a word or two after during Q&A, there's two key reasons. The first is if we strip away what industry that we operate within, the common denominator that we have is that we're trying to manage human behavior within the workplace and outside of the workplace, being our vendors, our business partners, and of course, our customers. The second reason is I believe that if these strategies have proven to work in such a volatile industry that is hospitality, I believe that it'll work for you as well too. I've leveraged these strategies that I'm going to share with you today in industries such as telecom, automotive, biotech, some different industries that aren't extraordinarily people first perhaps. But again, if we strip that all away, we have some commonalities. What I'm going to share with you today is I'm going to introduce you to the people first culture and 3P strategy. I'm going to share what customer personality types are, because I do not believe you can deliver the same experience to every single customer the exact same way. That's the furthest thing away from delivering a personalized experience, which gets away from earning true loyalty. I'm going to have a conversation with you, and this is where I'm going to ask you to really think about the behaviors of your customers and anyone that interacts with your brand, because we're going to talk about wants versus needs. Now here's a little tip. If you do not want me to pick on you by asking you to chat with me in front of your colleagues, don't look me in the eye. Because if I see eyes on me, then it's telling me that you want me to engage you. So there's a tip, but hopefully your eyes don't divert when we get to that part. I did not grow up in the hospitality industry. As a matter of fact, my father, when I was in high school, operated a restaurant, and unfortunately, it made him file for bankruptcy. It's a tough industry, and I could never have imagined that I would have gotten in that industry, knowing what I know of the industry as a child of somebody that had to file for bankruptcy because of an industry that chewed him up and spat him right out. So allow me the first couple moments to share my backstory with you. And I do this so that I can build some rapport with you, so that hopefully you think, you know what, he gets it, right? He understands behavior in the workplace and outside of the workplace. My career started in 2007 as a call center agent in my early 20s, working for an organization that you might be familiar with. If you've ever seen blue trucks driving around perhaps your city, And on the side of them, in big letters, it says 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Pretty familiar? How many people are not familiar? Oh, great. Well, the company, to give you some more information, is one of the true great entrepreneurial success stories in North America. One gentleman had a pickup truck in 1989 and would knock on your door and say, do you want me to get rid of any stuff that you no longer want in your home? An ex-husband, a fridge, a couch. But then it grew to what today, $250 million a year in sales. So when and the great thing about this is no outside capital, zero debt, one owner, a true business. I was in business school before I joined 1-800-GOT-JUNK because I wanted to learn how to grow a company. So I went to business school, and unfortunately, I'm not an academic. I didn't really make it. And I didn't come from a wealthy family, so I needed to pay for my own schooling. So a year went by, a couple of semesters, I was like, this is not working. What's an alternative plan? So in Vancouver, the two great companies then were 1-800-GOT-JUNK and Lululemon, the athletic retail company. So I interviewed for both, and I got offers for both. And I decided that it was going to be 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Largely because they were doing this already. Culture, engagement, experience. It was a part of the DNA of the company back then. Even before anybody even said the words customer experience management, they were leveraging that to grow their company. Not only that, they had just won Canada's best workplace. Like for the entire country, a medium-sized organization going up against multi-billion-dollar companies. So I said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start off in the ground floor, work my way up, and hopefully one day start that business that I wanted. So the hardest part was telling my South American mother, very traditional, you go to school, you finish it, that I was leaving university to go work for a garbage company. That wasn't a hard conversation. That was a hard conversation, pardon me. But if you asked her today, I think she would agree that it was the right thing for me to do. I joined, worked in the call center, answered 100 calls a day for about a year, 5 days a week. Now that's actually not the hardest part. The hardest part, and the majority of the calls came from the US because that was where the biggest footprint was for the company. The hardest part was answering the phone and convincing you great American people that a man can actually be named Michelle. It literally, the first 2 or 3 minutes of the conversation was like, yes, Gladys in Florida. So I recognize that you're not my therapist, so I'll stop it right there. But truth be told, I actually had one of the largest average handle times in the call center, and I swear I pinpoint it to that. I wasn't going to be a call center guy forever, so I transitioned into the operations management side of the company. At this point, I'm in about my mid-20s, reporting to the VP of Finance, and I gave myself to my career. I knew what I wanted to do one day, and I knew that I couldn't just sit on my hands. And I was introduced to a topic called Customer Experience Management. And again, nobody was really talking about this back then. But there were emerging companies like Zappos.com and of course Starbucks that were leveraging these strategies. And I said, you know what, this is going to be my niche. This is what I'm in America, niche. And this is what I'm going to leverage to build companies. I did not know what industry just yet, but I knew that was going to be the topic. I transitioned outside of the company, and then I started an advisory firm. I thought I would go help companies on their people-first strategies. I hadn't coined the phrase just yet, but anything customer employee related, I would want to build strategies for them. So I started off working with companies that did less than $1 million in sales, like micro companies. Just anybody, I would work with anybody that had a check that wouldn't bounce, pretty much. But then Verizon Wireless called and said, will you help us build training materials for our Western region, for our retail stores? And I said, I don't even know how to write a proposal. I thought this to myself. I better figure it out. And then Blue Cross Blue Shield and McDonald's and so forth. And that told me that companies of all industries, of all sizes, are now starting to figure this out, that culture matters, employee engagement matters, and of course the outcome from that is having a great customer experience. Not just one that is great for your industry, but an experience that your customers have never seen before. I'm going to mention a phrase called R&D, and I don't mean research and development. I mean rip off and duplicate. And I know it sounds shameless, but I spend a lot of time studying companies not in my industry. And I'm going to share some examples from companies that I think you can learn from as well too. But when you learn from a great company, ask yourself, could we be doing this as well too? And then put your own spin on it so it becomes a part of Deco. Today, I operate a hospitality organization. We went from 0 employees, $0 in revenue, to just over 15 million and 150 employees in just under 2 years. The strategies that I share with you today is what has helped us keep the train on the track, because that is tremendous growth. And we expected it because we operate in Toronto, one of the largest cities in North America. We operate on King Street, arguably one of the most competitive streets for hospitality. Have you been to King Street?
I'm from Canada.
Oh, no way.
I'm a token Canadian.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll have a beer after. So these are the strategies I'm going to share. I'm not a theory guy, right? I didn't want to write the book until I had case studies of my own, right? I wanted to cut my teeth so that I could stand before you and say, look, these work, whether it's in my industry, perhaps yours or other ones, because I don't have enough confidence to stand in front of an audience like this and talk about things that I have not leveraged in my own career. One thing that I know very well is that we don't know the difference between customer service and customer experience. And I don't mean to offend anybody when I say that. I just have been at this long enough that people don't know the key points where it differs. Within my organization, this is how we train our team members, regardless of your position. Whether you are customer facing or not, my finance team goes through the same customer-centric training that my hostesses and bartenders do, because if we want to create alignment behind building a people-first culture, everyone must go through the same training to create that alignment. But also, you never know where your next great strategy is going to come from. Dishwashers, my finance team, they have a role in being able to help us build this organization. Customer service are actions within the customer experience. So if you go to the grocery store and you pay for your bananas, your milk, and your loaf of bread, the person that's helping you pay is delivering you customer service. That's an action within the entire customer experience. Customer experience is the discovery, design, and deployment of the interactions within a customer journey. So think about when you go to the movie theaters, every single one of those interactions that happen, to go into the bathroom, the concession stand, parking your car, logging into the app to purchase your tickets, getting your tickets scanned, those are all interactions within the entire customer journey. The reason why customer experience is so difficult for some organizations is because those interactions can be managed by different departments. And if we are not aligned, if we do not view the customer experience from the same lens, then how on earth are we able to discover, design, and deploy a strategy that's going to impact our customers positively? Those are 3 things that we're going to talk about today. I want to be able to leave you with some information to get you thinking about how can we discover our customers' wants and needs? How can we design so that we remove pain points from our customer journey? Because these pain points are harming your customer loyalty. And then lastly, how do you deploy this? Every organization would love to do this. Recruit, interview, and onboard a high-performing team that has high engagement to take care of their customers. Since the beginning of time, this is everything that we've wanted. But why isn't it that all companies don't have this? Why is it as consumers, we go to a restaurant, a hotel, or a printing shop, and we get a bad experience? I created something called the People First Culture about 1.5 years ago, and it's defined by building a business your customers and employees will admire. But then I sat on this more and said, why is it that we're not all doing this? Now there's several reasons. One, leadership, right? Is the leadership truly people first? Are they truly people centric? But then I put something together I call the 3P strategy. And this is how we operate our hospitality company. This is how I've helped Alfa Romeo and companies like that operate as well too. The 3P strategy: purpose, process, and profit. It's what hinges everything together so that an organization can become people first. So let's do this now with the 3P strategy. We recruit, we interview, and we onboard high-performing individuals. We understand the purpose of 3 key entities. What is the purpose of our company? What is the purpose of our customers? And what is the purpose of us? Not as employees, not as a team, on the individual level. Because each and every one of you probably have a different purpose. Once we're able to understand the purpose of those 3 entities, we are going to achieve engagement. It's organically going to happen because we've created this alignment. Once we have that engagement, now we should be building systems and processes to be able to serve each other and our customers. Because often, have you ever led a team before in your career and you built this strategy and you knew it was going to work, but then it didn't because people weren't engaged before you created the strategy? We didn't have that alignment first. Once we're able to build these processes, now we're going to be able to create an experience for our customers that they've never seen before. The outcome of that is loyalty. The reward is profit. Like I said, I am an absolutely profit-driven entrepreneur and professional. What do you think I do when I get my weekly P&L? Go right to the bottom and see if it's red or green. I'm fearful that some professionals and entrepreneurs are going about the Venn diagram the wrong way. Yes, we are in this for a profit. Yes, we are in this for sales commissions and hitting our KPIs, but are we living quarter over quarter, or are we building the business year over year, decade over decade? Nike's purpose is to stand for things that they believe in, whether it's popular or not. We all may have seen earlier this or late last year, people were burning their shoes because they didn't believe what Nike believed in. But that is Nike's purpose. The outcome is that they build great products and they're a market leader. Here's a company I guarantee you've never heard of. It's Pellicase. They're based in Saskatchewan. You've probably never heard of Saskatchewan either. And I would give somebody $10 right now if they could spell it. It's hard. What you're looking at there is a biodegradable cell phone case. Their purpose is to not harm the earth. Matt Bertulli is the founder of the company, somebody I know very well. And when I asked him about this, he said, I just want to create products that consumers love, but I don't want to harm the earth. They will create other products, but they've turned this company into a multi-million-dollar organization in a short period of time because they're serving a growing community of consumers that label themselves zero wasters. This community of people. And at first I was like, what is there, like 8 people? But apparently that's not true. Apparently there's like hundreds of thousands of individuals that will only purchase products like this that won't harm the earth. Their purpose is to not harm the earth as an organization. The outcome is great products. The purpose of my company is embedded within the mission. This is one of our this is our flagship location within our portfolio. Our mission at Borrow is simple: to consistently deliver seamless experiences. It's not to have the best food or the best cocktail. It's to consistently deliver seamless experiences. Now, I noticed that I didn't say seamless experiences to our customers. I just put a period after. It's to everyone. Customers, the company that sells us our meat supplies, our alcohol, our investors, our bank representatives, even if we pay them. I had this challenge early in my career being like, and I'm paraphrasing, but a gentleman said to me, why should I be the one delivering the experience to the company that I pay? And I'm like, oh man, I got to rewire your whole DNA. Treat everyone like that high-paying customer. Treat everyone like that person that comes in and orders a $1,000 bottle of wine. Because if we find ourselves only treating our best customers a certain way, then are we truly authentic as an organization? What is the purpose of our customers? each customer of yours has a different definition of success. When I was working within the call center of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, I recognized that I couldn't speak to the customer in Florida the same way that I spoke to the customer in Sydney, Australia, or the one in Victoria, British Columbia. So I started documenting all these notes sitting in my cubicle and just wrote all these behaviors and traits. Eventually, I gathered pages and pages and pages of notes, and I said, I'm going to codify this. I want to build a framework around this because I know that I can't deliver the same experience to every single customer. So I created something that I call the 3 common customer personality types. Now, the word customer could be interchangeable. It could be anyone that interacts with your brand. If you deal with a bank representative, try to understand their personality type. I take my finance team through this as well too. And I talk about the finance team specifically because often when I work with companies, they don't include the finance team into this content. I was like, no, they interact with people that you are trying to build a relationship with. You must include them in this information and give them this superior content. So the first, I do not know her personally, but if you've ever watched her show, she's energetic, she's upbeat. Her conversations go on and on and on and on. Often they are off topic. So I've labeled this person the socializer personality type. What do you think the biggest threat is in doing business with this personality type? Who's got an idea? You looked me dead in the eye, so pick an idea.
Well, they not stay on task and you get off on different things, you may never.
Exactly. They're over here and you need them over here, but you can't interject in a rude way or else that's going to be very off-putting to them. You have to be able to find what I call your out. When I was coaching Volkswagen salespeople on the customer personality types, they said, how do we get out of these conversations? Like, I'm biting the side of my cheek being like, dear God, I don't care about your dog. I just want to get to business. But of course, we can't say that. So I said, you got to find your out. So for the Volkswagen individual, I said, if that person is talking to you about how they love skiing and they can't wait to go to Whistler Mountain in Canada, well, maybe that's your out by saying, if you love skiing and you go to the mountains often, maybe you need a Touareg, right? You got to find your way to organically get that customer where you need them to be. Who likes doing business with this customer? If they could do a business with this customer each and every day, who would prefer to do so? Does anybody really enjoy doing business with this person? Nobody? Yeah? Okay, thank you. How come?
Because you form a relationship with them.
Okay.
Then you're creating loyalty. So
Yeah.
if you have a personal connection, I still believe people buy from people.
They give you so much what I call customer intelligence. They will tell you everything about their entire life, and you can use that to build a rapport with them. More on that in a moment, but you are absolutely right. I don't know Daniel Craig personally, but if he's anything like James Bond, don't talk to him about the local sports team and the weather. They're just going to walk right all over you. They want to get to business. They're very black and white. They want to lead the experience. You're going to have to follow them, as opposed to the socializer. The socializer will allow you to be like, come with me. Let me walk you through this experience, where this individual wants to lead the experience. If you do not know your product knowledge with this personality type, they're going to walk right over you and either go ask to speak to somebody else, or God forbid, they're going to ask to speak to another company, i.e. your competitor. What do you think one of the advantageous things in doing business with this personality type would be? Who's got an answer for me?
It's information. He's after direct information, accurate information, quickly.
Okay.
He knows what he wants.
Very easy to read this person. It's almost like you just have to sit quietly and just let him or her give you the info, and then you get straight into work mode. Okay. The last is the passive. Now, the best way for me to describe this personality type is if you've ever asked somebody, hey, Teresa, how's your day going? And Teresa's like, good, and just walks away. We're like, well, what about my day, right? Now, some people might be like, oh, this person is low energy, boring, not engaging. I caution you, they may actually have a front, because maybe your company or industry has wronged them before, so they don't trust you. They have a guard up. However, what I have found is that if you are able to build rapport with this personality type and they bring their guard down, they can be some of your greatest advocates and some of your most loyal customers. They've just been written off by so many companies that they don't really trust many organizations. The 3 common personality types is something that you can even correlate to email. This isn't just on the phone or offline. If you get an email from somebody that's 2 sentences, a couple times from that same person, you probably have the director style personality type on your hand. You don't want to give them a long paragraph like that. Whereas if you get one of these, you probably have a socializer. Try not to give them 2 sentences back because they might find that rude or off-putting. Being able to understand different personality types and understanding what makes one customer tick and what ticks off another customer is absolutely imperative to be able to create a personalized experience, not just for your customers, but also for your colleagues, your vendors, your business partners, and anyone who interacts with the brand. What is your team's purpose? Now I'm going to break that down to what is your purpose as an individual. Food and Wine magazine is the Vogue magazine of hospitality, and they wrote about one of our locations in Toronto. And the title speaks for itself, how one Toronto restaurant is revolutionizing employee retention. Hospitality is known as a very transient industry. High turnover, which eats at margins and profitability because you're always having to recruit and interview and train and onboard. Going into this industry, I knew that this was going to be a challenge. So I asked myself, what are some things that we can do to manage this pain point? But not just managing the pain point, but also creating an experience for our employees that they've never seen before. Because the outcome of that is high engagement, productivity, better sales, better marketing, all that good stuff, more profit. One thing that I coach my management teams on is if you have a direct report, whether it's 1, 3, or 5 people, it is your responsibility as their leader to understand what their purpose is. So if I have an individual on my team, her name is Christina Perihar. She started off as a server, worked her way up, and is now on a management level. I know her purpose is to continue to grow within our company and be the director of learning and development. I've told her direct report, you better get her there. That is now your responsibility as a servant leader. Servant leadership is something that I've been studying for years. Servant leadership and benevolent leadership. Servant leadership, it's in the title. You serve your team, they don't serve you. Benevolent leadership is the opposite of Gordon Ramsay's management style, okay? And my industry has given me so many challenges. Ones that I welcome because I like to solve big challenges, but picture having a team of 150 people where the far majority of them are used to being belittled and berated by poor leadership. We're trying to do things differently by being benevolent and by being servants with our leadership style. Christina Perihar wants to be the director of learning and development. We will get her there. But if another team member, Jordan Lopez, who was our marketing manager, came to me and said, one day, I want to be a company. Essentially telling me I'm going to leave you one day. I'm okay with that as well too. Because if we're able to pave a path for great professionals, during their time with the organization, they're going to give themselves to the company. They're going to help you succeed as their leader. And not only that, they're going to recruit people to come join you with your company. I have individuals within my company that are studying to be dentists and lawyers and many other great professions. But for the individuals in the room that have team members that want to grow within the organization, and I'm certain you do, it is your responsibility as their servant leader to get them there and give them the coaching, the guidance, and the resources. Pave a path for them and allow yourself as the leader to take a step back and let great people do great work. That is what a people-first culture looks like. So what have we done? We've recruited, we've interviewed, we've onboarded a high-performing team, we've understood the purpose of the company, the customers, and each other as individuals. Now we're going to achieve that engagement. Productivity's high, absenteeism's low, sales are high, and all great things that come with high employee engagement. Let's build some systems and processes now so that these engaged professionals can live within the people-first culture. We have 20 operational strategies that are operating behind the scenes. I'm not going to take you through all 20. I want to take you through two. One on the employee side and one on the customer side. I have a rule within our management team. It's an 80-20 rule. I want 80% of your time focused on building strategic initiatives to serve our employees and maintain their employee engagement. I don't think you can recruit and onboard engaged people and engage them. You have to recruit and onboard engaged individuals and maintain their motivation. It's hard to engage somebody that just kind of sits on their hands. So when you go through the recruiting process and when you're interviewing individuals, you have to be able to pinpoint whether these people are extraordinarily engaged to be able to serve your customers and help you hit your KPIs and your sales goals. The Employee Advisory Board is the program that I am asked about the most after somebody reads my book. Today is Monday. Last week, I was in London speaking for CenturyLink, the telecommunications company there, and this is the thing that they gravitated toward the most. Picture this. Every month for 4 hours, I will sit down with one member from every single department. There's a team of people that are democratically elected by their peers. One dishwasher, one bartender, one server, one line cook, and so forth. And they meet with me for 4 hours and we talk about two key things. The first, I ask them, what is the current state of our company culture? And second, what is the current state of our customer experience? They are representatives of their departments. So they crowdsource information from their peers and bring it to the table. These meetings are off the record, so everyone can speak freely. That gives me the information that I need to continuously refine the experience that we deliver to our employees and our customers. Not only that, what are some other positive outcomes? We, as a leader, and for the leaders in the room here, it can't just be up to us to build all the strategies. We must be able to go a couple layers below and speak to the individuals that are working within the business just like us and help facilitate what I call cross-learning. So every time I leave this meeting, I feel re-energized. I have new ideas. Not all ideas get executed on because I'm like, Joey, that's going to cost us like $1.76 million to do that. Let's try to go back to the drawing board with like 2% of that budget. After the meeting, I will go to my management team and say, ladies and gentlemen, here's the feedback that I've gotten. Is there any validity to this? And our management team, one of our core values as a company is ownership. We want to own our responsibilities. So if our management team will say, you know what, the EAB, they're right. We haven't done this in a long time. We need to fix this. But there will be times where they'll say, yes, I understand why they're saying this, but these are the reasons why. Sometimes our frontline employees don't really see the mechanics that happen behind the scenes, but then I have to bring that information back to them. So to build an employee advisory board, these are some of the steps that we follow. One member from each department meets with a senior leader, and that's myself. We host monthly meetings between 2 and 4 hours. It always ends up being closer toward the 4-hour mark. We discuss customer experience pain points and customer-centric culture with the goal of developing quarterly operational improvement plans. How do some companies deliver great experiences year over year? And these are the Starbucks-like companies, the Zappos, great hotels. One service level agreement that I have within my business to ensure that we're always inventing experiences is we will create 3 operational improvement plans per quarter, so every 3 months. Now, they don't have to be grand or expensive improvement plans. We may, just last quarter, at the end of last year, we said, you know what, our survey response rates for Net Promoter Score is down. How many people are familiar with Net Promoter Score? Yeah, great. So it's a way that we survey our customers. The percentage had dipped, and we said, you know what, we need to do something to get that KPI heading in the right direction. Whether they're big or smaller initiatives, always be inventing. Because the moment that we stop building processes for that engaged team to work within, that is when behavior starts changing. Unless you believe that the behaviors and the expectations of your customers and employees will never stop evolving, then you don't need to continue to build all these strategies. But the fact of the matter is customers and employee behaviors are always changing and evolving. Has anybody heard of the company called Warby Parker? They sell glasses. Okay, these glasses are Warby Parker. 7 years ago, they didn't exist. Today, they're worth several $billion in valuation. Luxottica is an Italian manufacturer of eyewear. Are those Luxottica? No. Okay. And they are the company that produces the eyewear for like Hugo Boss, Chanel, Oakley. Every single major brand goes to this company called Luxottica. They're worth $15 billion, even greater. They own lens crafters. They own the entire market. Warby Parker 8 years ago did not exist, and now they are kind of nipping at the feet of this massive, massive Italian company by having great product, but by also being people first. A micro customer experience is something that I'm helping companies deploy within their organization. Now, a micro customer experience is defined by a subtle, memorable, and affordable gesture that you do for someone that interacts with your brand, whether it's a customer, a vendor, or a business partner. Atlanta, Georgia, a customer orders a pair of glasses from Warby Parker online. She goes to the nearest retail location in the Buckhead region of Atlanta, walks in the door, is greeted by that friendly employee. The employee says, "How's your day going?" The customer says, "Not so good. I got my car stolen last night. I could really use a beer, but I'm excited because I'm here to pick up my glasses." The employee does what we always tell employees to do: show empathy. She does, helps the customer on with her glasses. 2 days later, the customer receives this in the mail. It's a handwritten note from Warby Parker from that same employee. "Hey Tess, we are so sorry to hear about your car. Since you probably won't be the designated driver anytime soon, here's a round on us. Love your friends at Warby Parker. P.S. Your Durand frames look amazing." And inside that postcard and envelope is a $25 gift certificate to a local microbrewery so that customer could get that beer that she said she wanted in passing. In a microsecond, she said, "I could really use a beer." I've stopped telling my entire team of 150 individuals to stop listening to your customers. We've been telling our team to listen to customers for decades. The problem with that is listening is a very cheap skill set. Listen and take action on what you have heard. We talked about customer intelligence with the socializer personality type, right? They're going to give you tons of information. Whether it's a director, a passive, or a socializer, they are sharing information with you on a daily basis. And I'm afraid that at times it falls on deaf ears. We have to take these moments and be able to create an experience that these customers have never seen before. What is the return on investment here? What is the profit of doing things like this? One, this customer is only going to buy frames from Warby Parker for the next few years, maybe even more. This customer is probably going to refer 2 or 3 friends to Warby Parker and probably tell 10 people. That's called organic growth. Organic growth is defined by the revenue that is earned through repeat customers or referral-based marketing. It's the best and profitable way to grow because it doesn't cost a lot of money to be able to facilitate that purchase. You earned it by delivering a micro customer experience. BusinessInsider.com, Mashable.com, and the HuffingtonPost.com. 3 websites that collectively receive tens of millions of page views per month wrote about this story. For a company to get their story written about in those 3 websites, you would have to pay a PR company tens of thousands of dollars per month to be able to get your story told. If you want the media or your customers to talk about your company, you have to be willing to do things worth talking about. And these are the things that you must leverage to be able to create that experience your customers have never seen before. And how was this all achieved? This was achieved by having a people-first culture professional within your business, listening and taking action, and let's call it $28, including postage. I want to introduce you to somebody named Alyssa. Alyssa was working at one of our venues serving brunch one day. And she put the micro customer experience program into action to earn us Google and Facebook reviews, customer loyalty, and employee engagement. Alyssa serves a table of ladies, and Alyssa learns that the reason that these ladies are here brunching is because one of them is about to have a child. And this is probably going to be the last time that these 4 friends are going to be able to come together and be with each other. Alyssa takes that customer intelligence. There's a woman here that is just about to have a child. Runs to the hostess stand. The hostess runs across the street to Shoppers Drug Mart, which is your Walgreens equivalent. Comes back with a box of 50 diapers, a rattle, and the rattle will probably drive this mother nuts. But in theory, the gifting's good. And wrapping paper. The customer or the hostess comes back, wraps the present in time, gives it to Alyssa. Alyssa hands it to the guest before time of billing and says, "Thank you for being a guest of ours. We can't wait for you to celebrate your newborn child." That is an experience that customer has never seen before in hospitality, and that is how we are winning. We're willing to do the things that our competitors wouldn't even think of doing. What is the ROI of this? That woman will come back after she's had her child and she wants a night out. She'll come back. So there's that organic growth, repeat customers. The ladies at that table, they'll come back as well too. All of them will tell a few people. That's just plain old good business. The partner of that woman coming home with this big box being like, "I thought you were going to brunch." We'll say, "Where did you get that gift?" And this goes to something I call owning the dinner table. It's a chapter in my book. And essentially, I want to create experiences for customers and employees that are so strong and so memorable that when that individual goes back to their home and sits for dinner with their family, they're talking about that experience. Owning the dinner table. And these are the things that we must do with our customers, our employees, our community, and our business. The thing that often is misunderstood about doing these things is my team loves delivering these experiences. It increases their engagement. It allows them to release endorphins. And that allows them to be productive and sell better and serve better. Collectively, our hospitality group will do just over $15 million a year in sales. What do you think our monthly budget is for doing gestures like this, system-wide, every month on 15 million? Throw out some numbers. $200? Okay. 1,000? Okay. One more guess? Anybody think it's more than 1,000? Yes? How much do you think it might be?
A lot more.
Okay. It's actually only 500. Could I make it a lot more? Absolutely. The bigger the budget, the less creativity. We are just going to be handing out bottles of Dom Perignon to every other guest. That's not memorable. It's not though, right? Like, I like flowers. Those things are good and they still work and we still do them. But our competitors can replicate that. The smaller the budget, the better for the bottom line. But the more creative the team member has to get. So when you're thinking about these gestures that you can do for your customers, you don't have to be like, well, where are we going to get the budget? There's a lot of pride and joy that you can get as being a professional and finding a solution to something that doesn't cost a lot of money. We've done a lot. We've earned profit. Not just profit quarter over quarter, but if we're doing these things, it's profit year over year. And if the company is profitable and growing and expanding, then there's probably going to be room and opportunities for advancement within the company. Maybe you're not all shareholders of your organization. My 150 team members aren't shareholders of my company. So how do I speak to them? How do I bring up the word profit to them? And that's how I phrase it. Is if we as a company are profitable and thriving, well, then there's going to be more opportunity for company events like this, more learning and development opportunities, perhaps even more opportunity for advancements and promotions, because once we open up the next venues, we're going to need more managers, and I want to promote from within before I find somebody external. But for the cynics in the room, if there is any, this is how I talk about profit and the outcomes of having a people-first culture. Starting with an improved customer experience, there's an increase in customer loyalty, which means that you have the opportunity to spend less money on marketing if you so choose. I'm not telling you to do so, but if you so choose. When's the last time you saw a Starbucks TV commercial? Never. I'm paraphrasing, but Howard Schultz said something pretty profound. And I'm paraphrasing, but he said, people think we are a great advertising company, but we actually don't invest in traditional advertising at all. What we do is take that resource and put it within our training and development so that our team members can deliver a great experience. That is our marketing. That happens if you have less marketing expenses, if you so choose, then there's more profit for the organization. If you have repeat customers, that's more sales, but that's more predictable sales. If you know that you have high customer loyalty and repeat customers, then you know customers are going to renew their contracts with you and make other purchases, or in my world, perhaps they'll come twice a week instead of once a week. There'll be a decrease in refunds and discounts, which means that there's more profit. There's brand admiration, so perhaps free PR and free marketing like Warby Parker achieved. And then something that I advocate the most within my organization, and it's make price secondary. We are in the premium space in Toronto, so you wouldn't come to us for a $12 steak. That's not us. But how are we going to charge what we need to charge to hit our margins and make sure that customers feel like they got a lot of value and not be like, I can't believe I spend that much? It's by leading with a great customer experience, one that our customers have never seen before. On the employee side, less employee turnover means manageable training costs, which means more profit for the organization, which will fuel the company to thrive and grow. Employee loyalty. If there's loyalty within the organization, more often than not, there's alignment department to department. And then higher productivity. Higher sales, less mistakes, again, more profit. I told you at the beginning of the talk that I do believe in building a profitable company. It's just my way of going about it is a little differently. It's because I want to be in business for decades. And I look at some of these organizations that are operating quarter over quarter. I told you I just got back from London. And the company that I spoke with one of their senior executives after, and he opened up to me and said, we have a long way to go because we need to rewire the DNA of this company. We are living quarter over quarter. How can we discover building a better customer experience? Two things that I focus on with my management team is what do customers want and what do they need? On the surface, it can seem like they're one and the same, but they're actually different. I want you to think about your customers for a moment. And if I met you at an airport and you told me what you did, and I asked you a very loaded question, I said, what do your customers want from you? How would you answer that question? Could I ask you? No? You don't know what your customers want?
I ask them what they want.
So what do they say?
They want great experience, low cost.
Okay. Low experience.
Get their needs met.
Okay, cool. David, what do your customers want?
They want low-cost solutions, and they want it when they want it.
Okay. Teresa, what do your customers want?
What do our customers want? They want innovation.
Innovation?
They want help with solutions.
Okay, great. Customers are very good at telling you what they want. We are not very good at as consumers in telling our customers what they need, what we need. Because we do not know what we need until it's been presented to us first. Case in point, when I surveyed about 1,000 consumers in the hospitality space, this is what they told me what they wanted. They wanted value, they wanted seamlessness, so they wanted a headache-free experience. I want to book my reservation, I want to be seated at the right time, and so forth. I want solutions to what I want. I'm hungry, I'm parched, I want a drink, I want to be entertained. And then they want confidence, which I call consumer confidence. They want confidence in the company that they do business with, that they're going to have very little headaches. Then when I ask them what they need, this is what I got. Because customers aren't very good at telling you what they need until it's presented. Before the iPod was invented, who owned an MP3 player to listen to their music? Okay. Do you remember going from song 1 to 50? You had to like hold your thumb down until it turned a different color. That was literally a hurtful customer experience. So we wouldn't have been a very good test market if Steve Jobs had asked us, what do you need from your music listening pleasures? Because we probably would have said something like, give me an MP3 player that holds 5,000 songs and give it to me in different colors. That's not invention. That's an iteration of what was currently on the marketplace. What we needed was the scroll wheel. It got us to song 50, but like that, not like this. That is a better user experience. Would you and I would we have been able to say, hey, yeah, Steve Jobs, give me a scroll wheel? No, of course not. But that's what we needed to enhance the experience for us. And this was the product that brought Apple back to the market. I'm going to tell you this story in a different way. We've heard this story, so I'm not going to be cliche. I do not believe Netflix put Blockbuster out of business because of the technology. The technology was an outcome of having a people-first culture at Netflix. Because at Netflix, they give their employees the freedom. One of their core values is employee freedom to be inventive. And during that time of invention and innovation, they determined that how we are going to beat Blockbuster is by focusing on what customers need. And what we need as consumers is our time back. Remember when we would go rent a video from Blockbuster? That experience was like this. Hey, sweetheart, do you want to watch a movie? Sure. Let's go and drive 15 minutes to the nearest Blockbuster, park our car, walk into the store and have to dodge like little kids down the aisles. I know this because I was one of those little kids. And then we have to look at these DVDs, another 15, 20 minutes in the store. Then we go line up for another 5 or 10 minutes. And then we drive back home for another 15 or 20 minutes. It's been over an hour. We sit down, we watch the movie for an hour and a half. God forbid we don't rewind the VHS tape or else they charge us an extra $1. Then we have to drive back another 15 or 20 minutes to drop it off and then come back. That's 2 or 3 hours to watch a movie that's an hour and a half. Netflix recognized that time was the game and going like this is better than going like this. And that is why they won. Would we have been able to tell Netflix, yeah, this is what I need? A streaming service. Like, no. Now we're like, oh yeah, of course I needed that. Yeah, I could have told you that. Well, then why didn't we invent it? Has anybody eaten at Sweet Green? Has anybody heard of Sweet Green? No? No. Perfect. Allow me to introduce you. 10 years ago, they had 0 locations. Today, they're worth hundreds of millions and have over 100 locations throughout the US and in about a handful of states. If Sweetgreen asked me, Michelle, what do you want? And they are in the healthy fast food space, bowls, warm bowls, and salads. If they said, Michelle, what do you want? What do you need? I would have been like, don't charge me extra for guacamole. It's not very inventive. Starting this year, they have connected their app and integrated blockchain technology to their supply chain. So if you go to Sweetgreen and you order one of their bowls and you have tomatoes in your bowls or cucumbers, you can go into the app and read, these tomatoes were picked on this date from this farm in this state. This is the name of the family that owns the farm. These are obviously all the nutritional stuff. The nutritional stuff is table stakes. What Sweetgreen is doing now is giving us what we need and is being more conscious of the things that we put in our body. That is innovation. And nobody, I'm sure there's plenty of smart people in this room, there's nobody in this room that would have told Sweetgreen to do that. The problem with a customer experience discovery is that we can go to our customers and ask them what they need, what they want, but it's very difficult to understand what they need. And that is why we have to be living 2 or 3 years out and thinking of concepts that today sound absolutely insane or ludicrous. But if you know you're having those internal dialogue where it's like, there's no way we can do that, you're on the right track. How do we design these strategies after we've discovered them? The movie theater, I'll use this example. How many pain points are there in the movie theater experience? The bathrooms are dirty. There's never mustard in the thing, in that, you know what I'm talking about. And many other things. If yourselves as an organization want to be able to design a great customer experience that is different than the one that you may have today, and I'm not saying that it's not great today, but what I'm asking and challenging you to do is to level up. Create that next version of your customer experience. Start by understanding where are the pain points for our customers. That can be done by speaking to them, by surveying them, by being inventive and having these conversations internally. Going through your entire customer journey from beginning to end and do something that I call the traffic light model. Every 3 months, my company will get together, our management team will get together and we'll go through our customer journey. So our customer journey will go from customer books a reservation on OpenTable, then the hostess will call them and confirmation call and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There's a total of 37 interactions that you would have when coming to one of my venues. That includes the bathroom and everything. 37. It's not as simple as reservation. I show up, I'm seated, I get a drink. There's a lot of intricate details that happen that sometimes customers don't even realize are happening. So what we do is we'll integrate the traffic light model. So we'll go through our customer journey and identify each interaction, and any pain point that we have, we're going to make it label it red. Anything that's mediocre is yellow. Anything that's green is where we excel. We'll obviously always start with the red because that's the biggest threat within our customer experience. We'll get to yellow, but this is where most companies go wrong and miss an opportunity. The interactions that you have labeled green should be given, that information should be given to your marketing team and to your sales professionals, because those strengths within your customer journey should be implemented within your marketing collateral and in your sales presentations. Because if your customers of today love you for XYZ reason, don't you think prospective customers will be attracted to your organization for those exact same reasons? I'm often asked, Michelle, how do you come up with your ideas? Other than the research and development, we do cross-functional peer-to-peer learning. And that can come from our employee advisory board. But I've also created another layer within the organization, which I've labeled our invention team. and there's a few individuals from different departments that will come and have meetings where they're just talking about the customer experience. A challenge and a big threat to your customer experience if you guys are just having individual conversations within your own departments. We're guilty of doing this as well too. Our kitchen team will go out and have their own meeting and implement a strategy within the kitchen, and then our face of house team will be like, what the heck? I'm seeing some people kind of nod their head, and that happens at all companies. But we have to, it's almost a form of self-sabotage. We have to be able to have this cross-functional peer-to-peer learning, because often when you have these conversations, I guarantee you, someone in the room will say, I had no idea that your department went through that. That makes sense now. This is why our customers are behaving when they get to us. The Frappuccino has become a multi-billion-dollar product for Starbucks. And the individuals that invented it was a manager and a frontline employee in California. Sent it to head office in Seattle, Washington. And it got kicked around, and it finally became a part of their experience and a part of their product line. I share this example with you because you never know where your great strategy or next product is going to come from, which is why you need cross-functional and peer-to-peer learning. And not everything you discuss is going to get actioned, but that's not the goal of having these conversations. The goal of these conversations is to be inventive, but at the very least, have this open dialogue within the organization. And I guarantee it's just a matter of time until you have that eureka moment and you're like, that. And that becomes the tipping point for your company. That is when you create some sort of Netflix-like product that really changes your marketplace. How do we deploy this? I mentioned that there's 3 operational improvement plans every single quarter, but I also have a single point of accountability. Within my organization, I'm kind of that individual, that flag bearer that's always talking about the customer experience, kind of like a Richard Branson-like character. I like to model myself after him because I really admire his leadership. But there's also another individual named Jefferson in my company that I have made the single point of accountability for customer experience. So he is also another individual that's kind of pounding his chest talking about it. We've created a customer advisory board, and I have the single point of accountability lead that meeting. So we have a handful of customers that meet with us on a quarterly basis. We share what upcoming products we have coming out. We invite them to food tasting and liquor tasting, or cocktail tastings. We don't compensate them either. What we do instead is we give them early access to events that we're hosting, and they are absolutely over the moon happy to do so. We've created that service level agreement, but then we've also understood what is our measures of success. When you create experiences for people, whether it's a customer or an employee, I can't promise you when that return on investment is going to come. You might create a system or process and you're like, we might not see the return for 12 or 24 months. And this is where the rubber meets the road. The most people-centric leaders, the Richard Bransons of the world, are willing to invest in improving the livelihoods of the individuals that interact with the brand. I'm advocating within my company that I do not want a separation between the business and in our personal lives and how we behave. And what I mean by that is this. If I go pick up my friend Mark from the airport because he needs a ride when he lands in Toronto, do you think I'm driving thinking, what is the ROI of picking Mark, my friend up of 20 years? What is the ROI of doing this? No, that would be psychotic. It's because I'm trying to build a relationship with him. Maybe he'll pick me up from the airport one time. Maybe he'll carry my casket when I die one day. Why can't we take that same type of mentality of servant leadership into our workplace as well too? I always keep my finger on the pulse of our profit and loss statements, our sales targets and everything. But I also know that there's some things that we're going to do next month that might not pay a dividend for 12 months. And I'm okay with that because I'm trying to build a business that is going to withstand the test of time and competition, and this is the best way that I know how to do so. I have wanted to share these with you. The first document is how I interview. It is a culture-focused interview strategy. It's a 6-step process that has allowed us to secure employee retention that is 2.5 times higher than the industry average. This is something that's quite popular with audiences that I speak in front of. The second document is how to build an employee advisory board. And the third is the micro customer experience step-by-step guide. So if you are ever so interested in implementing that within your departments, by all means, just visit that URL. And then Teresa, can we email the slide deck to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you pop in your email address and you'll get all 3 documents just sent over to you. Before I get into Q&A, there's one thing that I know to be very true. Every company on this planet will tell you that they deliver a great experience to their customers. Some companies will tell you that they treat their employees like their best customer. But the fact of the matter is that only a few companies actually do both. And if you're willing to do both, if you're wanting to achieve both authentically, then I highly, highly recommend that you start building a people-first culture within your organization. Thank you very much.